A response video to another The End doom and gloom video by Nick. Um, it was sort of an entertaining video. I mean, I have to admit, joking about the end of the world is, there's going to be a little bit of fun in that. But I guess I would disagree that I don't think this is going to be fun. I don't think it's going to be a good time to live. I don't think it'll be interesting times, as you put it, and the blessing of living in interesting times. I don't think the people like, say, Hiroshima or Nagasaki, I mean, I don't think they were saying, gee, what a blessing it was to live in interesting times. So yeah, I don't buy that argument. I mean, there'll be maybe 0.00%, 1% of the population is going to be living some sort of great, Mad Max kind of life where everything will kind of go their way and it'll be okay. But most people are going to be the peasants of the Dark Ages. Most people are going to be living hard, and the capacity to kill each other. I mean, the gangs are just going to have so much. Everybody's going to be part of a clan, and we're not going to kill each other with pitchforks. It's going to be, it's going to be nasty. I mean. And there's not going to be any electricity. There's not going to be any nothing. Everything, every utility, every bit of infrastructure will be destroyed. And I don't even think even these young people, that they've lived in a pretty plush times. And I don't think they could, they can't stand a few mosquitoes, let alone living in the cold, wet, no electricity, having to burn wood, and that's just going to exasperate the whole global warming thing. Is we're just going to rip the environment to pieces. People are just going to sacrifice it, to sustain their existence. But there were some points. I mean, just little ones to address. I mean, in one of your other videos, I mean, an interesting question to me is, what do you invest in now as a hedge against a disaster? And you sort of implied gold and silver would be kind of the way to go. And I don't think gold or silver is going to have any value. I mean, that would make like India the richest country in the world if that happened. Because sure, all the people, the women have gold, that's their dowry or whatever. But I don't think it's not going to be backing any currency that's valuable. It's not going to be gold coinage of the Roman Empire or gold coinage of some empire. So it's not going to, I just don't think gold and silver is going to have any value. It's not good for anything in a primitive reality. I mean, you really can't do anything with it. It's not very useful. I think cigarettes are going to be, that's the kind of thing, you want to own something, that's what you want to own. You want to own a few truckloads of cigarettes, coffee, maybe instant coffee creamer, that powdered stuff, it lasts forever. All that kind of freeze-dried, all highly processed foods, that have a good shelf life. I mean, that's the stuff that's going to be the gold of the future. So maybe, I really have to think it through, what would be the wisest investment, because obviously you don't want to end up with stuff that's perishable, that's going to die, just in case everything doesn't go to hell, you're going to be stuck with crap that isn't worth anything, that rots or something or deteriorates. But anyway, yeah, and then, I don't see this as being any kind of this falling apart isn't going to be, I don't think it's going to be graceful at all if it goes that direction. If we let the whole thing start to fall apart, it's going to get really ugly. I think some nukes are going to go off because, yeah, somebody's going to capture them. You could even imagine like somebody, like a soldier on a nuclear submarine, finds out his whole family's been killed or whatever, and he just decides to take out the rest, take out everybody, take out finds out it's a gang from New York or something, says, well, I'm going to take out New York, and a few people on a sub decide to take it over, they can do it. And there's a tremendous amount of destructive power there. And so, yeah, well, whatever. I mean, it's not going to be pleasant. And I guess the question is how we avoid it. And that's the other question I've been trying to think of is what are the possible scenarios, you know, short of, you know, Jesus Christ rematerializing or something. But maybe it's going to take something like that, and maybe it's going to take something like some kind of Gandhi-esque character that can lead civilization in a direction that's productive and constructive. And yeah, I think that's part of what's going to have to, I mean, you know, I guess economically you would say that, yeah, we're going to just have to start over. I mean, we're going to have to just wipe all the old accounts out. I mean, all the old bullshit won't be worth anything. Nobody will have anything. We'll all be equal again. And all we'll have to do is just apportion what remains to individuals and start over. You know, it'll have to be a new game under new rules. And as I see it, I mean, I think that's the only way you can undo this mess. I don't think there's any reasonable expectation to think that, yeah, common people are going to, because common people are the ones that have essentially been stuck with the inflation or the debt, however it exists, in whatever form it exists in. And, you know, the destruction of the currencies most directly affects them. It takes their house away, it takes their capacity to live away. And so they're not going to accept that. And so I think it's going to, you know, I think it's the people on the high end, I think their wealth is going to have to be nationalized. I think, you know, certain industries are going to have to be nationalized. The government's going to have to nationalize farms, you know, food production, and nationalize energy production. And, you know, the government's going to have enough gang support to keep that infrastructure, to protect that infrastructure and keep it intact. And that's going to be a big tricky question, whether they can manage that task, because it is all this, you know, everybody's blaming the government, and it wasn't the government that created this mess. It was greedy fucking people that did. It was our choice not to invest in the future. It was our choice to exploit the environment. It was our choice to make all these poor decisions. We did have a democracies. We had decisions to make, and we chose poorly, because we invested in a system built on selfishness as a virtue. We bought the Ayn Rand nonsense, you know, that being your worst animal is somehow a benefit, that somehow you're going to be productive and constructive acting on your worst impulses. And you know, I guess I'll just throw in this little bit, since you did make some crack about the idea of objective reality. I don't see how you can, I mean, to me, you know, just as you find my notion of it laughable, I find your rejection of it laughable. There's just no way to deny. You're saying it all doesn't matter. You're saying it doesn't matter how much suffering is endured, how much anything. There's no efficiency equation that could be ever drawn up, and that it wouldn't matter whether everybody lives in a blissful Eden or whether everybody lives in a Holocaust bomb-ridden, a psycho crazy culture. And it just, of course, it makes a difference. And you know, objectively, we have the power to construct the world we want to live in. It's true, we do. We have the power, and it just takes the mindset. And you know, you've sort of argued that it's not like, you know, I can't control me, but I can control you. And I guess I would say that if you're going to be effective, you've got to control other people. Then your message is sort of counterproductive, I think, because I don't think most people want to die badly. You know, with somebody bouncing on their chest asking for their carrots, and I don't think they want to live badly. And there's going to be a lot of bad living that's going to be taking place in this dark age we seem destined to travel into. And I think it's just kind of stupid to say it doesn't matter, or to say, oh, it'll be interesting times. Even if we concluded there was no purpose to this nonsense. And I'm not saying there is a purpose. I mean, I might agree with you, there's no purpose. We're much better off with a fucking quick end. I mean, when somebody's bouncing on your chest demanding to know where your carrots are hidden, if there was a button right next to you that would, you know, blow up France, would you press it? Or would you just let the nonsense go on? I mean, yeah, I mean, this is all, it's all a cheese chasing game. Whether we're politely asking for the cheese or we're killing each other for the cheese, it's still a fucking cheese game. And it's not worth all this nonsense. Cheese isn't worth the price we're paying for it. Especially when cheese is just a psychological notion. So, but whatever. Probably went way over time.